July 1629. Spanish missionaries arrive in the Texas desert convinced they are heading to their deaths at the hands of the Jumano warriors. But when the tribe steps out of the forest, they are not holding weapons. They are holding crosses. The indigenous people have never seen a white man, and yet they already know Christian prayers and wear rosaries around their necks. When the friars, stunned, ask, "Who taught you all this?" the tribal chief answers, "The woman dressed in blue, who comes from the sky." The answer to this riddle was not in America, but 8,000 kilometers away, locked inside a cell in a Spanish convent, where a nun claimed to travel across the ocean without ever moving her physical body. This is not a legend. It is a historical fact documented in the records of the Church and of the Spanish Crown. And it is the beginning of one of the most unsettling mysteries in the history of Christianity. The case of a cloistered mystic who, without ever leaving the four walls of her cell in Spain, evangelized America. Today, we tell the true story of Sister María of Jesus of Ágreda, the Lady in Blue. We are in July of 1629. In the convent of San Antonio in Isleta, in present-day New Mexico, there lived a Franciscan friar, Father Alonso de Benavides. He was the custodian of the missions, practical, serious, a man who had to report directly to the King of Spain and to the Pope. For years, Father Benavides and his fellow friars had noticed something strange. Every time they pushed into new territory, they found tribes that already knew the basic elements of the Catholic faith. The peak came when a delegation of Jumanos, a tribe living hundreds of kilometers away deep in Texas, appeared at the convent. They insisted on having missionaries. They said a woman dressed in blue had warned them that men in brown habits would soon arrive and that they should listen to them. Father Benavides was skeptical. Think about it. How could these indigenous people recognize the Franciscan habit? And who was this woman? A local superstition? A demon in disguise? But the details the indigenous people provided were too precise. They said the woman was young, very beautiful, with a sky-blue mantle over her clothing. They said she spoke their language, but when she prayed, she used an unknown language, Latin. They said she had taught them to make the sign of the cross and that she had given them rosaries and sacred chalices. When the friars went to visit the tribe, they did in fact find these objects. They were European liturgical items. How had they ended up there? No European had ever set foot in those lands. Father Benavides wrote in his memorial of 1630, addressed to King Philip IV of Spain, "We do not know who this woman is, but her work is evident. The harvest is ready, and it has been sown by an invisible hand." Now, we have to jump 8,000 kilometers. We cross the Atlantic Ocean and go to Spain, to a small town called Ágreda, on the border between Castile and Aragon. Here, in a cloistered monastery of the Franciscan Conceptionists, lived a young abbess, Sister María of Jesus. Sister María was not an ordinary nun. She was a profound mystic, a woman of intense prayer, comparable in charisma to figures like Saint Teresa of Avila, or, in more recent times, Padre Pio or Don Dolindo Ruotolo. Maria spent hours, sometimes days, in deep ecstasy. The sisters saw her remain motionless, insensitive to pain, her face transfigured, even lifted from the ground in levitation. But the most shocking thing happened when she came back to herself. With great humility and embarrassment, she confessed to her spiritual director, Fray Sebastian Marcilla, that she had traveled. She said angels took her and carried her to a distant land. Different climate, different skies, people with copper-colored skin. She described their clothes, their weapons, their food. She said she preached the gospel to them, urging them to call the Franciscan missionaries. The incredible part is that Sister Maria had never seen a geographical map. She knew almost nothing about America except that it existed. and yet she described with precision the climate of Texas, the flora, the fauna, and even the names of the tribes. Pay attention to one crucial detail. The habit of the Franciscan conceptionists includes a white tunic and a blue mantle, exactly like the Lady in Blue described by the Jumano people. News of these strange events reached the ears of the Inquisition and the superiors of the order. In the 17th century, no one played around with things like this. Claiming false miracles or being possessed by the devil could cost you your life. Father Alonso de Benavides, returning from America in 1630 to report in Rome and Madrid, heard about this nun who claimed to visit America. He was skeptical, very skeptical. He decided to go to Ágreda to interrogate her personally. He wanted to expose what he believed was a fraud, or the imagination of an overly sensitive woman. The meeting between the veteran missionary and the cloistered nun is one of the most fascinating moments in church history. Benavides prepared trap questions. He asked for geographic details that only someone who had physically been there could know. But Sister Maria answered everything. She described the rivers, she described the villages. And then she did something that froze Father Benavides' blood. She said, "Father, I have seen you. I saw you as you baptized the indigenous people of the Piro tribe. There were many people that day, and you were wearing..." And she described exactly the vestments Benavides had used in a specific ceremony on the other side of the world. But it doesn't end there. Sister Maria described a specific episode. She said she had met two Jumano chiefs. She described their appearance. One had a squint eye, blind in one eye. Benavides went pale. He knew that chief. It was exactly as the nun described him. In his report to Pope Urban VIII, Benavides wrote words both terrifying and wonderful. "Your Holiness, I have been convinced. This woman has been there. Not with her physical body perhaps, but with her spirit, or in a way known only to God. She described my mission better than I could have described it myself. But how is it possible? What exactly are we talking about?" Mystical theology calls this phenomenon bilocation. It is the same phenomenon attributed to Saint Anthony of Padua, Saint Martin de Porres, and, most famous of all, Saint Pio of Pietrelcina. Bilocation does not mean the body splits in two. It means that, by a special grace of God, a person's presence is manifested in two places at the same time. In one place, the convent, the body may appear asleep or in ecstasy. In the other, in America, the person acts, speaks, teaches, and is seen physically. Sister Maria said she made more than 500 spiritual journeys between 1620 and 1631. Why did she do it? She wrote in her diaries that her heart burned with love for those souls who did not know God. She prayed so intensely for their salvation that God allowed her to go to them. This is a powerful lesson for us today. We often think we can do nothing about the world's hard situations because we are far away, because we are small. But the story of Maria de Ágreda teaches us that prayer breaks the barriers of space and time. The Jumano people knew nothing about theology, but they recognized love. They recognized holiness. And there is a moving detail. When Sister Maria understood that the missionaries had finally arrived and that the indigenous people had been baptized, her bilocation stopped. Her task was finished. She had prepared the way. She had been, like John the Baptist, a voice crying out in the desert. Someone might say it's just a nice story invented by priests for publicity. But there are proofs that make it hard to dismiss everything that way. First, the documents of the Inquisition. Sister Maria was investigated severely. The Spanish Inquisition was famous for not believing in miracles easily. And yet, after interrogating her for days, they let her go, convinced of her sincerity and orthodoxy. Second, the oral tradition of the indigenous people. Even today, native tribes in Texas and New Mexico pass down the story of the Blue Lady. It is not a European tale imposed on them. It is part of their historical memory. There are desert flowers, the bluebonnets, Texas lupines, which, according to local legend, took their color from the lady's mantle when she touched the ground. Third, her written work. Sister María de Ágreda is not famous only for this miracle. She is the author of The Mystical City of God, a monumental work on the life of the Virgin Mary, dictated, according to her, by the Madonna herself. It is a book read and loved by saints and popes for centuries. She was not insane. She was a remarkably refined theologian, even without formal studies. And there is one last mystery. When Sister Maria's body was exhumed centuries after her death, in 1909, it was found incorrupt. Her body is still intact today, in the convent of Ágreda in Spain. It looks as if she is sleeping, as if God wanted to preserve that body which miraculously had traveled across oceans to bring His word. Why are we telling you this story right now? Because we live in a world where evil seems to win, where Christianity seems to retreat. But the video we made about Iran and this story from 1600s America tell us the same thing. God has no limits. God does not wait for our timing. God is not stopped by closed borders, wars, or oceans. When there is a soul searching for the truth, God finds a way to reach it. He can use a dream, as in the Middle East today. Or he can use a nun praying in a Spanish cell, as he did 400 years ago. The story of the Lady in Blue challenges us. It asks, how much do we believe in the power of our prayer? Sister Maria had no internet, no airplanes. She had only the Rosary and an unshakable faith. And with those, she changed the history of an entire people. If this story struck you, if you also believe that prayer can reach where we cannot reach physically, I ask you to leave a sign. Write this phrase in the comments below. Lord, bring your light where we cannot reach. Let's fill the comments with this testimony of faith. And if you want to go deeper into the visions and prophecies of the great mystics, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. May the Lord bless all of us.